partitioning off a small group of people that can manage the process. I disagree on hiring a banker. I was our banker for a while. I know that breaks Lisa's heart, but I think you do need one at some point. But I think, in my opinion, getting a banker involved, at least with us in GE, too early would have ruined the intimacy that I ended up with Jeff Immelt and Mike Jones, who were the two guys that were doing the deal with us. And had I had somebody in between, I couldn't have looked him in the eye. Being a dumb Southern boy, I wanted to fly up there, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and ask them the hard questions. And they were willing to meet with me because I didn't have a banker. We met and we looked them in the eye. We had a lot of hard, intimate discussions about culture. Did they want to change it? Were they going to integrate it? Were they going to leave us alone? What was their vision? What was our vision? And made them shake my hand on those things. Now that doesn't hold water in a court, but it certainly makes them think twice about not living up to what they said. And candidly, guys, they lived up to everything they committed to in those meetings. And so I think, those are some things, color commentary to your comments. I think that, getting a banker at the right time is important. I probably waited too late, but at the end of the day, because I was burnt out by the time I hired one, and I wish I'd hired one a little sooner, but having that intimacy was important for us, especially with the size of Clarient and the size of GE Health.
We hired a banker just because we were dealing with 4 companies. And we didn't have the time to give each one of them the attention until we got down to the end when it was kind of down to 1 or 2. And then we started engaging them much more on a personal level as well. Yeah. But in the early days, we did hire someone to help us through that process. And we were a small company. We were 125 employees, and we didn't have the bandwidth to do it on our own. So we had to help.
And who did you include inside the company on your team?
Just the key technical people. Certainly the controller, people running the various engineering programs. But our technology is one of those things where probably what got us most over the hurdle is we took the corporate people to Europe, gowned them up, put them in the operating room, and let them see it work. And they would bring along their team of lawyers and accountants and engineers, and they had some doctors with them too. And so we got those doctors in the labs in Europe where they could see what was going on and the benefits of the therapy. I can remember with Medtronic, one of the physicians they had, one of the doctors in the lab reached over and handed him our tool and said, he used it, his eyes lit up, and from then on we knew that the deal was going forward. Whether they had the right number or not, we knew they were interested in on board.
And Jeff and Mike, how do you feel about when should you involve the bankers and the attorneys?
I think it varies and is a function of management's capability and skill set. I mean, these are 2 pretty experienced guys that, for different reasons and the right reasons for them, made 2 different decisions. So, sorry, Lisa, but I don't know if it's a one-size-fits-all question.
Yeah, I think it depends upon your ability to segregate a management team like Ron did, or if you're too small and you maybe don't have the expertise and you haven't done stuff like this before, you're a financial advisor. It really just depends on the circumstances. From the buy side, we only get bankers or lawyers involved when we know something is serious. And like companies like ours, Mike probably has people that you can do transactions with to a certain point before he brings on bankers. We basically, if we're doing small deals, we don't use bankers at all. We would only use lawyers. So it just depends on the size, the need to access capital markets, the complexity. So it's circumstance dependent.
Our bias is actually not to use bankers on the buy side if we can avoid it. So
That's
we did a $225 million deal for a company called Medigen about 10 months ago. Did not use a banker.
From our side too, because we have infrastructure internally, preference is not to use bankers. It's the whole shaking the hands, looking the guy in the eye. Yeah. It's so powerful in this industry, and if you've got an intermediary, so much gets lost in translation.